Ross, big homie. First of all, you know it love. Second of all, I got to call a spade when it's a spade. You say you did it for free. Everybody do it for free, right?
The internet is going crazy right now after new footage popped up of DC Young Fly straight up roasting Rick Ross in front of a packed crowd. And trust me, the reactions have been nothing but chaotic. What started off looking like a harmless little joke turned into a viral moment that had Ross shifting in his seat while the whole audience was losing their minds laughing.
Now, that wasn't the biggest moment. Now, that's one of the viral moments, but Bullshit episode 8 million. Got Country Wayne, shit like 6-7 million. Like, we do numbers, we do analytics. Our analytics, we was the biggest before you came, and we was the biggest afterwards. So you always got room to come back to be on the biggest podcast in the world, correct? You dig what I'm saying? But when you call a spade,
the clip, now pulling in millions across every social platform, shows DC tearing into the rap mogul with laser focus, calling out everything from Ross' over-the-top lifestyle to his constant comparisons to street legends, right down to that old-school rap persona he used to push. The crowd fed off the energy instantly, and by the time DC wrapped up, it was obvious this wasn't your average comedy bit. It was a full-on takedown. The moment reportedly happened during a live taping where both guys were in the building, DC Young Fly hosting, Ross showing up as a surprise guest. First, everything looked cool. Ross stepped in wearing that signature fur coat, heavy chains, and shades shining like a disco ball. The crowd went nuts. But DC, with that quick-fire humor he's known for, saw the opening immediately.
But you didn't eat it. And we respect when shit to do, bro. Just tell us as soon as you come in, hey, little homies, I got an hour. Bet, we gonna try to get you in. Man, we gonna try to get you in about 45 minutes so you can make it to your next destination. Don't pull up, act like you doing us a favor, and then just leave her without saying something. Just say something so we can know what's going on, gang. We ain't tripping. We'll push back up. Your team, we called your team. We called the person who we called when you was on the way. Guess what they said? We don't know where.
Ross walked in looking like he just escaped the zoo and forgot to drop the lion off, DC joked, setting the tone for what was about to be a ruthless roast. The crowd exploded, but Ross didn't crack. He hit DC with that awkward half smile, the kind that says, yeah, I ain't really feeling this. But once the audience got louder, DC went even harder. He started clowning Ross' obsession with flexing, saying, every time Ross talk, it sounded like he just finished chewing money. The place went crazy. Phones up, people screaming, even the guests on stage trying not to laugh. But what made the moment blow up even more was Ross' response, or lack of one. Instead of laughing it off, he looked irritated. He tried to play it cool, sipping from his glass and mumbling something off mic. DC caught it instantly and fired back. Don't get quiet now, big homie. We just having fun. Remember, you rich.
Okay, I'm gonna say first of all, I don't give a
Yeah, I get it.
but I give a because
Try to make it bad.
put you as a person.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before, okay, let's just say before all that happened, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say before all that happened. Bro, I'm listening to you, Ross.
Yeah.
I feel like you wanted to.
Hey!
Shut the up.
I'm listening to you, Ross. I feel like you probably one of the best lyricists from the South that we got. You dig what I'm saying? Like, you poetic, bro. When I listen to your music, I think you put a lot of time and effort into this.
From that point on, the vibe shifted completely. What started off playful suddenly felt like a roast with teeth. DC began hinting at Ross' old controversies without saying any names, dropping slick lines about borrowed identities, label issues, and all that tough talk that never added up. And those punches landed hard because the crowd knew exactly what he was talking about. This wasn't just jokes about Ross' music or lifestyle anymore. DC was tapping into years of questions about Ross' authenticity and ego. The audience loved every second of it, cheering with each jab, while Ross tried his best to keep it together.
Time, and I'm gonna take this jacket off.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you can't.
Man, stay tuned.
You can't take your foot off for nothing.
All gas.
Oh, I'm talking about for life. Dawn, you know what I'm saying? You know, so it's just.
But then you drink.
We could have those debates. We really could.
Teflon was off the chain.
I mean,
You know what I'm
and
saying?
I like the way
Dawn was a
you
different
followed up
time.
hustling with pushing it. Like, how did you know to come right back on their ass?
You got to.
Right.
Man, just don't take the foot off the gas.
Some fans compared the whole exchange to a classic roast battle, but one where the laughs had real tension behind them. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, with people breaking down every frame. Hashtags like hashtag Ross got roasted and hashtag DCVS Ross started trending. Some viewers felt Ross handled it badly and should have just laughed it off. Others said DC pushed too far, claiming comedians go extra hard when they see a crack in the armor. But no matter which side people were on, everybody agreed on one thing: DC Young Fly owned that moment. This wasn't just a roast. It was a reminder that personality and wit can overshadow fame and fortune instantly. And what really added spice was the history between them. DC and Ross have crossed paths plenty of times, even shared mutual respect at one point. But this moment made it clear there was some deeper tension simmering long before the cameras rolled.
Be mindful. You may never know who knows somebody, who kin to somebody, who saw what you posted. Because you're going to have to stand on business.
Look, bro, listen, man. I came to your podcast. I came for free, homie, no charge. I did it on Face, homie. I didn't ask you what your analytics was and this and that. I came on Face, homie, to show love. And don't make it like I walked off on you. I left early. Rose had some other things to do too. But guess what? I came for...
People who were actually at the event said Ross pulled up with heavy boss energy, trying to make the whole moment revolve around him. Before the cameras were even rolling, he'd supposedly thrown little jabs at DC, bragging about being the boss of all bosses and claiming he's the blueprint for how young stars get money today. But DC wasn't going for that. And once the mics were live, he flipped the entire vibe. Anyone who knows DC's comedic style understands he doesn't fire randomly. He studies the room, feels the ego levels, and aims straight at the weakest spot. So when Ross started flexing, DC hit back in the only way he knows how. He reminded everyone that real respect isn't something you demand. It's something you earn. And he dropped lines that sliced right through Ross' big persona. You got 20 cars, but you still mad. How you own all that land and still ain't found peace.
Dennis and Ross, which they good buddies, okay? They're gay. Both. And
That line landed like a punchline and a Sunday sermon rolled into one. The whole crowd erupted. Even Ross loyal fans had to admit there was a sting of truth in the joke. Ross, though, he wasn't laughing. His body language switched instantly. Arms folded, that stiff, forced grin, and a clear shift from cool confidence to straight irritation. At one point, he even leaned over to mumble something to one of his team members, and the internet later clowned him saying he was asking for a PR escape route. The clip froze that moment perfectly, and folks online have been replaying it in slow motion like it's the Zapruder film, turning it into a full-blown meme. Some fans are convinced Ross walked in thinking he could charm his way through DC's jokes like he does in his interviews. Instead, he walked straight into a comedic ambush. Insiders later revealed Ross slipped out early. No pictures, no after-party. Only adding more fuel to the rumors that his ego took a hit. DC, on the other hand, kept the momentum going. He hopped online afterward thanking fans for the love and dropping a playful warning, "Ain't nobody safe. Not even the bosses." Fans took that as confirmation that those jokes weren't just jokes. They were a message.
Ross, big homie. First of all, you know it love. Second of all, I got to call a spade when it's a spade. You say you did it for free. Everybody do it for free, Ross. You ain't the only nigga who did it for free. T.I. do it for free. Busta Rhymes did it for free. Snoop Dogg did it for free. Everybody who sat on that couch.
DC went toe-to-toe with one of hip-hop's most self-assured giants and walked off that stage with the W. The internet's response has been loud and split. Comedy fans are hyping DC for keeping it raw, saying it's rare to see somebody challenge a figure like Ross live and actually win. Meanwhile, hip-hop fans are tug-of-war. Some think Ross should have brushed it off with more grace. Others feel DC crossed a line with a legend. But one thing everyone agrees on: the clip exposed that razor-thin space between confidence and insecurity. When a comedian with unfiltered energy meets a rapper with a king-sized ego, an explosion is almost guaranteed. And this time, DC walked away victorious. And there's another layer to this. Rick Ross' public image has always been built on this massive mogul persona, the boss of bosses who moves differently from everyone else. But behind that, he's dealt with years of people questioning how real that image truly is. From the old revelation about his past as a correctional officer to ongoing jokes about his over-the-top rap stories, Ross has been battling critics forever. DC Young Fly, whether intentionally or not, hit exactly where Ross has always been most sensitive. Every jab about ego, money, or contradictions hit harder because those topics have chased him for over a decade. During the roast, DC even dropped one line that had the internet hollering, "You've been calling yourself the biggest boss since '06, but you still arguing with folks half your size."
Eat our show. You went and did a podcast, a white podcast. You sat your ass right there for almost 2 hours
and didn't leave.
and you talked. And them white folk asked your ass, was you a correctional officer?
Yeah.
We would have never asked you no like that, nigga, 'cause we got respect for you.
Right.
And you sat right there and you answered that question so eloquently,
Right.
eloquently.
Eloquently, right.
You dig what I'm saying?
The crowd absolutely lost it. That one line summed up what fans have whispered for years, that Ross nonstop need to prove himself clashes with the powerful persona he tries to project. It was comedy, sure, but it was also truth dressed up as a joke. And for Ross, a man who prides himself on staying unshaken, that truth landed straight on the ego. Some fans say that's exactly why he froze up, because deep down, DC wasn't just clowning. He was exposing the cracks in the boss image. The internet hasn't let up since. Memes of Ross' reaction are everywhere with captions like, "When the boss gets bossed," people are remixing the clip with goofy sound effects, turning it into the next viral challenge. Even celebrities jumped in, some laughing along, others arguing DC might have crossed a boundary. But no matter the opinion, the video has reignited an old conversation about Ross' persona. Is he really the untouchable mogul he claims to be? Or has confidence slowly morphed into arrogance? DC's roast might have been all jokes, but it pushed fans to reassess one of hip-hop's loudest, proudest figures. Meanwhile, DC Young Fly is coasting on the momentum. The wild and out veteran, known for his fearless, rapid-fire roast style, has been praised for bringing that raw, old-school comedy back to the stage. Fast, fearless, and unfiltered. In an industry where most entertainers avoid controversy, DC's willingness to go at the powerful has made him one of the most respected voices in hip-hop comedy. His humor hits hard because it's grounded in what everybody already sees but won't say. But this roast sparked a bigger conversation too. Industry folks are pointing out that hip-hop, built on pride, dominance, and image, doesn't always blend with comedy, which thrives on honesty and vulnerability. When a comedian like DC pokes at a rapper like Rick Ross, it's more than a gag. It's two worlds colliding. The result is raw, hilarious, and sometimes uncomfortable. And this time, that discomfort turned into one of the year's most talked about moments, proving once again that authenticity wrapped in humor always wins the room. In the days after the roast went viral, both Ross and DC stayed unusually quiet, which only fueled the fire. Ross avoided addressing it directly, but fans noticed he dropped a few cryptic IG posts right after the clip exploded. One read, "Bosses don't explain. They move different." Another showed him posing in his mansion surrounded by luxury cars, as if to reassert the biggest boss image. But fans weren't having it. The comments were filled with jokes like, "Still mad about DC?" and "The roast got you silent. Big boss." The internet never lets up, and Ross' attempt to reclaim his aura only amplified the jokes. On the flip side, DC Young Fly took the moment and ran with it. In a recent stand-up set, he referenced Ross again, telling the audience, "I wasn't even trying to cook Ross that bad, but if you see a lion in silk pajamas, you gotta say something." The crowd exploded, turning that line into its own mini-meme. What's wild is how DC has kept full control of the narrative. Instead of letting people label it as disrespect, he's framing it as clockwork. Just a comedian doing his job, telling the truth with a smile. Now the big debate is whether this roast will leave a lasting mark on Ross' public image. Some insiders think this will fade away because Ross' fan base is loyal and his business success keeps him insulated. Others believe the moment revealed a vulnerability fans won't forget. In hip-hop, image is everything. And once a crack shows, it's tough to patch it up. The viral clip didn't just make Ross look uncomfortable. It made him look human. And for someone who built an empire on being larger than life, that hit different. This whole situation highlights a shift in celebrity culture. Years back, rappers were untouchable, mythic, mysterious, protected. Now, in a social media era, even the biggest stars can get humbled instantly. One awkward reaction, one joke too sharp, and the narrative flips. DC Young Fly didn't just roast Rick Ross. He reminded the world that authenticity, humor, and confidence without ego always win in the court of public opinion. The Ross versus DC moment will go down as one of the wildest comedy hip-hop collisions in recent memory. A reminder that today, the microphone is the great equalizer. Whether you're a rapper with mansions or a comedian with jokes, the one who connects with the people wins every time. And this time, DC walked away as the people's champion, sharp, bold, and unapologetically real. This wasn't just a roast. It was a reminder. Never underestimate the power of humor to flip the script. Ross may own the empire, but DC held the mic. And that night, the mic won.